Butt Kicker Gamer 2. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
It's been nearly 4 months since the PRL NASCAR Cup Series kicked off for Season 1 in 2023, and in that time, Matthew Long has won 5 out of the 9 races. It's been a season of absolute dominance for Long, but it comes down to a Las Vegas finale, with Abner Acosta still in touching distance. Welcome to Round 10 of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series Season 1 in 2023, live from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hi everybody, Joey Tebben here alongside Dane Baird in the booth with Mike Yao producing behind the scenes. Dane, I promise I'm not really frozen, but you are in fighting shape.
Yeah, I'm looking over there and I'm thinking something's not quite right. He's not really moving much, but I'm hearing you, so something's going right at least. But yeah, it's great to be here. Season finale time, it's always a great day.
It is always a great day indeed. I'm so excited that I'm just frozen with excitement. I'm catatonic right now. But let's take a look at the championship standings. Well, actually, first and foremost, let's take a look at where we've been for the first 9 weeks of this season. It's been a very diverse and interesting schedule, as it always is in Season 1 of the NASCAR Cup Series on iRacing, because we're off the NASCAR schedule. We get to have a little bit of fun with the calendar. We started with that historic tour from Kentucky to Michigan to Rockingham to Darlington to Old Atlanta. We had that one road course race of the season, and then everything started to sync up at Daytona and Auto Club in Las Vegas. But over the course of those first 9 weeks, Dane, as I said, Matthew Long won 5 out of the 9 races. He's been the master of every type of track.
Yeah, it has been a really impressive season, and you can see in the point standings as well, it shows. Very difficult for him to lose the championship at this point tonight. But there is still the mathematical chance, so we've got to keep our eyes out on it. It still has to keep on the board there, does Long.
Indeed, there is the mathematical chance I was talking about. 32 points between Matthew Long and Abner Acosta. Basically, Matthew Long has to finish 23rd and he wins the championship guaranteed. That's how we were able to calculate those numbers. But we did see on Wednesday night with Reese Bogue, he had a similarly big championship lead, and he came so close to losing that championship on Wednesday night in the Truck Series. Came within 2 points of losing it, because he did finish basically dead last. So anything is possible, and Abner Acosta is holding on to that hope. But in the Teams Championship, it is similarly separated. Dirty South Racing have a 28-point lead over private label Team Hype. It's Regan and Long and Stout for Dirty South versus Dinkle and O'Brien and Acosta for private label Team Hype. Depending on their fortunes, that could get a little bit closer by the end of the night. Love Racing is kind of an island of their own in 3rd, and then it's SGE in 4th, 5th, and 7th with Pioneer, Overdrive, and Apex. YS Motorsports have been increasingly separated. They're 6th and 9th with Yellow and Black. Aero Kinetics in their first season in the PRL look to finish in the top 10, and it's the secondary private label Team Hype squad rounding out the top 10 with Brandon Walter and a few others who have made some cameo appearances over the course of the season. Qualifying is about to get underway here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but before we can get into that, for the final time this season, we have to thank the VCO, the virtual competition organization helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season and every season. This coverage is also brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. And from Advanced Sim Racing, it's Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceboxSimRacing.com and also get a 5% discount, also using the Precision5 coupon code. And then from Racebox, it's RaceLab. It all flows together, and RaceLab apps helps you improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. This coverage is also brought to you by The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with The Butt Kicker. And new for this season, it's the final week of it being new for the season, it's Mecha Sim Hardware, and they're a small company from the Czech Republic, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for a high-end pedal set, handbrake, or sequential shifter, visit Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed and check them out. And also very new this season, always happy to have new partners here in the PRL, it's Moradness. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And last but not least, Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Of course you are. Sporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. And as always, Dane, it flows perfectly because it's time to start tracking the drivers' performances. Right now, it's Johnson & Johnson up at the top with Byron and Scotty on the front row, but the big hitters are starting to go out. Here comes Matthew Long building up for lap 1.
Yeah, that was beautiful, Joey. That was beautiful. I always love doing broadcasts where we got those sponsor reads. We do not have that in Europe, so it's a nice welcome change. So yeah, absolutely beautiful, stunning. I gave you a 10 out of 10 for that. But do we give a 10 out of 10 to Matthew Long for qualifying? That is the question. He's making his way on the back stretch at the moment. Looked fairly clean from what I can see.
Here comes Matthew Long through 3 and 4 for the first time, on the clock for the first time. He's been reasonably quick in qualifying this season. He's had a couple of poles, but where Matthew Long has really shown has been the race pace and the tire saving. But Long crosses the line. It's a solid lap time. Not good enough for pole, though. It's P4 on lap number 1. And lap number 2 runs a little bit high through 1 and 2. It's difficult to build up speed on the second lap here. And he knows it. He's done.
Yep. He's aborted that one very quickly before he's even made it out of 2 there onto the backstretch. And now the 64. What can Joe Hoggard do?
It's very difficult to tell if he's on an outlap or if he's backing off or if he's on a quick lap right now. It's an optical illusion. Joe Hoggard is just trying to confuse us. I think now that we see the data, we do know that it is not a good lap for Hoggard, and he's just going to take the chance to do a little bit of pit lane entry practice, which I think we can all use. If you remember again on Wednesday night in the PRL NASCAR Xfinity Series finale, Abner Acosta, who's fighting for a championship here, lost the championship arguably because he lost it coming into the pits. He waited a little bit too late to get in the brakes, lost the car coming into the pits at Auto Club, and that's what lost him the championship. So a little bit of pit lane entry practice can never hurt.
Yep, something I know all too well is coming down onto pit road is very challenging, especially when you are on those older tires. It definitely can get a bit sketchy. As we right on board with the number 12 now, taking the higher line up through 1 and 2 onto the back stretch, carrying some nice speed.
Mr. Johan Seminario got his first top 3 in this series last week at Auto Club, so he's coming off quite the high. The YS Motorsports driver in that Dodge Charger next gen almost gets into the wall off of turn 4, though. I don't know if that's going to invalidate the lap as he brings it to the line. doesn't really matter. It's not a very good lap in the first place. A 30.7, that would put him at the back of the field either way. Now Johan Seminario's on the clock for his first real lap.
Yeah, opting for a little bit of a lower line this time. Let's see, coming through 3 and 4. Nice and low onto the white line there. Track out, not taking it all the way to the fence, but now cuts to the inside. Across the line, what's it going to be?
29.6, that's going to put him P12 for the number 12. So a solid qualifying for Johan Seminario. He's going to be hoping for a little bit more luck moving his way through the field. I didn't actually see how he did earlier this week in the FTF Cup race here at Las Vegas, but I believe he made the field. I believe he was competing in that, so he does have a full race distance of this track under his belt. But a driver who has more experience in the PRL than basically anybody in this field, bar Charles Sumner, Josh Daniels has shown everybody up and put himself on pole for the final time this season. He's been searching for a win all season long, for many seasons actually, and this could finally be his chance. He's got his second pole of the season over Mr. Trent Dinkel. James O'Brien has been Mr. Consistency this season. He starts alongside championship leader and arguably champion-elect Matthew Long. Chris Hudson starts on the inside of row number 3, and Abner Acosta is hoping for calamity for Matthew Long to put him in contention. Richard Regan Jr., coming off a win at Auto Club on Wednesday night, starts 7th alongside Mr. Sausage and Peppers himself, Brandon Walter. Then Where's Waldo? He is in P9 alongside Byron Johnson, the lead Johnson, at the end of the top 10. Taylor Stout for Dirty South starts 11th alongside Johan Seminario off his best result in the PRL. Scotty Johnson's unlucky 13th alongside Mr. Joe Hoggard. Robert Gamble and Robert Besaw Jr. make it all Bobs on row number 8, and then it's Clayton Ham and Pat Harvey on row number 9. Jordan Slater starts 19th alongside the Peugeot of Brett Punkari, Eric Papineau, Jay McDonald, Charles Sumner, and Jose the Funky Colt Medina bring us down to row number 12. Ken Olland starts alongside Bubbles the Wall Sponge, Mark Kalin. Tom Mamasi was the last driver to set a qualifying lap time in 27th. Richard Pruitt and Aaron Beaver, I don't believe they were disallowed from qualifying, but the stewards' investigations haven't actually been posted, so they may have been disallowed, but either way, they are going to start shotgun on the field. Richard Pruitt, of course, coming off his best result in the Truck Series on Wednesday night, got a second place at Auto Club, was very happy about that. He's got a little bit of work to do to move up from the back of the field tonight, though. The iRacing sedan pace car is awaiting a few stragglers to get up into the field here. Ken Olland and Richard Pruitt. I'm going to name and shame them, but we should be ready to go here in a matter of moments. Dane, it's a championship finale at Las Vegas. What more can we say?
Well, I always love the drivers playing that game that they always love to play with each other. Who can grid up last? And it's one of my favorite games, because if you play it badly, you just miss the start, and that's what you get for playing that game, personally. Yeah, it's waiting for a couple of drivers, and now we can finally get underway. But front row of all Chevys, got a couple of Fords just behind them. But yeah, the Chevy is looking quite strong out there.
Indeed, they are open setups in this series, which has been quite the storyline this season, especially at Daytona, when Dirty South Racing just absolutely nailed that setup. It's a 1-2-3 finish for them, just absolutely destroyed the field. Unfortunately for them, though, at Las Vegas, it's Love Racing who have really figured things out here. Josh Daniels, the epitome of consistency in the PRL. This is actually his second pole of the season. He's got the old double digits now in poles, 10 poles in his career across the PRL. Unfortunately, not quite there in the wins, though, so he's looking to change his fortunes this season. Trent Dinkel on the outside has had a horrifically bad luck season. He has actually been here for every week in the Cup Series, just has not gone his way one way or another, and he is the defending champion, so he's looking to end this season on a high as well. But the iRacing sedan pace car prepares to pull off a turn 4, and it will be Josh Daniels for the second time this season taking control of the field at Las Vegas. It's a championship finale between Matthew Long and Abner Acosta. It's 140-something laps on the board in 90 minutes, and we're green one more time in 2023 Season 1. Expectedly, great start for Josh Daniels on the bottom, holds off Trent Dinkel, but here comes Trent's teammate James O'Brien to challenge for second. He backs out of it.
Yep, backs out of it. Now your front 3 single file, 2 back just behind them as well, and now they go single file as well. But in the mid-pack, still a couple drivers vying for position early on in this race.
That's Byron Johnson to the outside in a new paint scheme this week. He's gone all Rowdy Burns on us there in the bright green and bright yellow entry. Arjuna Kankapati might call that Grello. I'm not going to go that far, but he's trying to rip the top when nobody else can.
Yeah, no friends up there at the moment. See if a couple drivers might try and follow him about up at the top. Looks for it behind. Not going to stay there for long. But I would also call that Grello, personally. I think Arjuna's spot on.
I'm just getting ganged up on here in the booth. This is unacceptable. I'm going to have to kick Dane out before he's even started here. But here comes Taylor Stout to the inside in a definitely not Grello entry. I'd call that German brown mustard yellow, personally, myself. And he's got Byron Johnson for the last spot in the top 10.
Does indeed. Looking pretty feisty a bit further back in the field. They're looking at the end of the top 20 or so as they're running too wide. Couple rows back. Mostly single file up here near the front.
There's Robert Gamble riding the outside as well, higher than anybody, but it is certainly a gamble for Gamble because he is playing with fire up there. Almost got in the wall off of turn 2. We know riding the top early can be an easy way to rip up those tires, but Gamble wants track position, and he's still going for it as he takes the fight to his fellow Robert Besaw Jr.
Yeah, I've tried and failed many times at Las Vegas to run the top. Always end up hitting the fence and ruining my race before it's even got properly underway.
Certainly trying his best to. He is playing with inches out there as he now sets his sights forward on Joe Hoggard, who I believe, if I remember correctly at Auto Club, got in the fence himself a couple of times trying to run the high line. So there's kindred spirits up here for these last couple of spots in the top 13. For now, though, it's 3 wide further ahead as Richard Regan Jr., Chris Hudson, and Waldo Walden figure things out, resolve things before he can get too scared.
Yeah, you don't want to be going 3 wide for too long. Slow each other up a little bit. Single file behind you, they're going to close up pretty quick if you keep doing stuff like that.
And they have resolved things right as we mentioned that, so good on them. We saw 4 wide in the Cup Series race in real life this evening, and very, very badly on that green-white checkered restart. We might see that a little bit later tonight if we do get one of those restarts, but 3 wide early on never works out. But Waldo Walden, he's working out very well right now, moving forward from a little bit lower than he started in recent races. This is a guy who has really shown up to the PRL this season with this SGE team. He's been around for a couple of seasons, didn't get the results he necessarily wanted, but this season he has been fast in qualifying. He's been fantastic on race pace. He's been better than he ever has at saving tires. Right now he's challenging the championship leader for a P4.
That he is. A little look towards the inside, but opting to stick back, stay single file for now. Probably a smart move, unless he can get some kind of monster run. Still very early in this race, and it's not a short one.
It's not a short race at all. 140 laps. If I can do the math in my head correctly, that's about 210 miles, so it is a very, very long race here. But Waldo Walden going for a little bit of a road course switchback on Matthew Long himself. Waldo's been he's been partaking in some of the road course racing in the PRL this season in the GT3 Fix Series, so he's certainly got experience with that style of racing. He's got experience with saving the tires, and there we see Walter on the nose of this car. And we make a lot of jokes. Where's Waldo? Whatever. He's really leaned into that, especially with the paint scheme. I don't care about any of that anymore. I only care about Walter. He's the most important part of this entry.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
There should be more dogs on cars. How is this the only one?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can definitely live with that, having more dogs on cars. I'll take that.
See if the rest of the field listens to me over the course of the season. I've tried to encourage more photos of food on the sides of cars, but nobody has taken me up on that. So hopefully some people will listen to us here in the booth next season. But here comes Eric Papineau, another driver who likes to go off strategy, likes to try something new, he likes to do something different. And right now that something different is ripping it around the outside of Brandon Walter and trying to pass Abner Acosta, the tire wizard, who seems to be holding up this whole pack here for 8th.
Yeah, a lot of traffic behind them right now as they still run too wide here. Almost 2 lanes sort of forming up in this pack here. It's the 37 on the outside. Gets ahead across the line. You give it to him, holding it quite nicely up there to see can he get ahead and be able to file back in line if that's something that they choose to do. Ooh, up high. Goes the 5.
Up high and change for the lead. Trent Dinkel has finally found his way past Josh Daniels. The reign of the Daniels is unfortunately over for now, and Trent Dinkel, who we know as one of the apprentices to the Tire Wizard, he's always good at saving his life. He's always good at saving his tire life, rather. He's using up some of it early, though, to get by Josh Daniels, and Trent Dinkel leads after 12 laps. When we look a little bit further back, Eric Papineau has finally cleared Abner Acosta. Robert Gamble has figured out the top as well. He's going to do the same. But Dane, you're the newbie to this series. We got a lot of nicknames that I've thrown at you. Abner Acosta is definitely the Tire Wizard, though. This is a very familiar sight for Abner. Sometimes he just likes to hang back, save his stuff. It seems like he's slow, but then after everything, he pulls something out of a hat, and the Wizard is suddenly back in the top 5. But we got to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, see, that's the exact opposite of me, and that's my big problem when I've tried to do NIS races, is just I chew up my tires like there is no tomorrow. And I'll be quick, and then all of a sudden, I go backwards, and I go backwards for a while. So definitely something I personally need to work on, but it's very, very useful to be able to keep your tires in check, especially when you're at a pretty high-speed track like Vegas.
Got to call the Tire Wizard, because Trent Dinkel has used Abner Acosta's experience to basically beat Abner. It's happened plenty of times. He beat Abner to the championship, and that's always heartbreaking. When the guy you help starts beating you, starts getting faster, that's always tough. There's a little bit of trouble further back, I think, for Jordan Slater or Tom Amasi. We saw somebody get out of shape, and now we look back to Mr. Brett Punkari, representing a whole nother manufacturer now with Williams Mercedes. He's always throwing something up here in the most beautiful basement in the world. Unfortunately, it's very similar to Williams in 2022 because he's fighting for last.
He's got Peugeot on the wheelbase there as well, so I think he's got to sort of make up his mind a little bit with all the different manufacturers that he's throwing out there. None of those in NASCAR, so we'll see what's going on there. Is somebody ripping it up the bottom. Huge speed.
Robert Besaw Jr. on Byron Johnson. Speaking of sponsors, or speaking of manufacturers that aren't in NASCAR, Johan Seminario is also one of those drivers who said, you know what, with the next-gen template on iRacing, I can do whatever I want. I can make a fake front fascia if I want to. And he's in a Dodge Charger back there. There's no manufacturer support. I can't imagine the fine folks at whatever owns Dodge nowadays. Stellantis are giving any manufacturer support, but he's doing it on his own. Privateer style.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I was just thinking, you want to get more dogs and pictures of food and stuff on the cars? Here's an idea for the teams and drivers out there. Put a big old sponsor logo right next to something interesting on your car, and we will show the interesting thing on your car.
Yeah.
And you just get free sponsor time.
Exactly. Our intrepid insider reporter here in the booth, Nicholas Hunter, knows all about that. He's the expert in just putting some dumb, fake sponsor on the car just so we can get some TV time. We should really stop rewarding that guy. We're really rewarding some bad habits there. Here comes Taylor Stout to the inside of Brandon Walter, and right as I say that, he backs out of it. This is one of the things about Las Vegas. It's a very multi-groove racetrack. You can use a lot of the racetrack, but it does have a tendency to go single file out a little bit later on in the run. It does tend to be a place where some drivers do like to go train mode.
Yeah, that's what I really like about some of these intermediate tracks. That, yeah, they all, to the naked eye, look very similar, but they do have their differences. In Vegas, yeah, you can run high, you can run low, you can run in the middle. You can try and get some switchbacks on people. We've seen that already, even in the first 20 laps of this race.
Here comes Eric Papineau, trying to be the next driver to rip the top around the outside of Abner Acosta. But as he does that, I think the Tire Wizard is starting to do his thing. I can start to see the magic working as a little bit further ahead. Matthew Long passes one of Abner's teammates, James O'Brien, who gets a little bit of a drift on out of turn 4. It's still reasonably early in the run. We're only 20 laps in. But it does seem like some drivers are starting to get a little bit more drifty than others. And there goes Abner Acosta on Robert Gamble. Are we starting to see the switch already?
certainly running side by side. Almost looked like they were going to go 3 wide there for a second. Gotta keep the patience up. As we've mentioned a couple times now, still early in this race, still very early in this race. You do not want to be going for crazy stuff like that.
Or maybe they do. Yeah, it's looking a little bit like Daytona a couple of weeks ago. Just 2x2 tandem pushing, tandem drafting, all sorts of crazy stuff. But Eric Papineau rips the high top this time as Robert Gamble gets down low. Taylor Stout clips the apron, though. He's getting all out of shape off a turn forward. I think he may have got a little bit of help from Robert Besaw Jr. there. He has saved it eventually, but did Taylor Stout get into the wall there?
Couldn't quite make it out on my screen, but definitely big moment there. No caution, though, so...
And no caution. That's very helpful, so we'll see if... We'll keep going green here. We'll see if we can get a replay of that. It does. Oh, as Eric Papineau does the same thing. That is no coincidence, and Eric Papineau loses it again, but very similarly manages to save it down the back straight. And I have to imagine, without seeing the replay of Taylor Stout, I think we just saw the replay anyway there. It was just Eric Papineau on the screen.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. And now, unfortunately for Eric, he's going to be dropping back like a block of lead. You see already 0 speed on that car after that. Touching the apron there, and then actually not as much of a slide as I was expecting.
That was a pretty good save. You are lucky at Las Vegas that there's a good mile of runoff area down there, so you can definitely save it after a slide. But the real problem will be that endless cycle of tire overheating. We know some of these drivers in this field do end up getting stuck in that cycle. You get one little slide, you get one little loose moment. And this track, it's got a straight, it's got a back straight, but you're basically turning the whole time, and it's so hard to cool those tires back down.
That it is, and that was what we just saw earlier on with the 37. Almost looked from that angle like there was a little bit of help, but yeah, a lovely save there. But as you were saying, those tires, once they get hot, it is very difficult to cool them down. Those tires will have very little grip. And it's a horrendous cycle that you get into. The tires are hot, so you have less grip, so they get hotter, so you have less grip, so they get hotter.
I've never figured out how to end that cycle.
Just stop dropping, I think.
We almost just ended this green flag cycle there as Slater, Harvey, and Gamble go 3 wide down the back straight. They've resolved it for the moment, but how about we go 3 wide through turn 4 again for good measure? They say no thank you. The Aerokinetics drivers back out of that battle as Pat Harvey, who qualified much lower than we're used to seeing him, starts to carve his way through the field as well.
Yep, they're going 2 wide, a little bit further back as well. Just want to say, I'm loving the paint scheme on this 67.
We got our first winner. I'm a big fan of the teal toothpaste blue, and it always stands out. That's the thing about some series. There's a lot of red and black cars. Sometimes they're hard to differentiate, but you're not confusing Pat Harvey with anybody else.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And that is why I really love it. Also, love Slater as well. Those are 2 of my favorite colors. In fact, my default iRacing paint schemes are a mixture of those 2 colors, which is quite funny. Now they're racing side by side.
Brandon Walter, latest driver to go drift mode, as there is big trouble in the background. I think that was Joe Hoggard going around. No caution thrown yet, but that was a car all the way around. That was not a save. Seems to be okay, and I think he's actually taking a tow back to the pits. So no caution for that, but we are starting to see drivers get a little bit impatient, get into a little bit of trouble, and that was Joe Hoggard. He has taken a tow back to the pits. Let's see what happened to him with Robert Gamble on the outside.
Yeah, let's see. Ooh.
Oh, it's Papineau.
Big hit into the wall as well. Massive hit into the wall. But yeah, a bit of help there.
A little bit of help for Joe Hoggard. Not the way he wanted to end his season. The super speedway master who's really taken to the 1.5 mile tracks as well. Unfortunately, he's taken to the pits, and he'll be in there for quite a while, hitting that little entryway into the infield of the track. That's always one of the worst walls to hit. But here is one of those red and black cars I mentioned, fighting with Mr. Chris Hudson as James O'Brien tries to hold back Waldo Walden and Chris Hudson. The It's a lot of drivers who are known for being consistent. Suddenly they have to work each other out right now before they can start focusing on their own races again.
As we get back onto the dog cam. Love it. Point that out, and now I'll never unsee it, and I'll be waiting for it every time.
Producer Mike Yao knows what to do. He knows to show us the dog. You'll see, well, actually, you won't see. I did just notice that, unfortunately, one of Waldo Walden's teammates, Lou Christian, not here in the field tonight, so I don't get to introduce you to the world's shortest staircase, Dane. You're missing a weekly tradition.
Oh, now I feel like I'm missing out. I have to come back.
I believe Lou Christian is, like, actually at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, or at least he was there this weekend for the race, so I guess he does have a pretty good excuse, but you'll have to come back for week one to see the Sean Heckman look-alike with the world's shortest staircase, because that's the 5th member of our broadcast team. As Mr. Robert Gamble continues to struggle on the top, there's been a change for the lead. Your championship leader, Matthew Long, he's thinking, you know what, 5 wins out of 9, that's not enough. Let's make it a 60% win record. He's back to the lead.
He's not happy with half the race wins. He wants even more. So, yeah, all power to that 28 out in front. These two up in front have quite a hefty gap behind them, haven't they? 2 seconds now.
And they've just run away from the rest of the field, and that's one of the changes in the dynamic of this series this season. With Matthew Long's return, he was out for a couple of seasons. It was very much a Trent Dinkel and Abner Acosta fest for the past couple of seasons, but Matthew Long has shown up. He's had better short-run pace than Acosta and Dinkel for the whole season. He's had better long-run pace, which is incredible than the 2 Tire Wizards. And when you've got that kind of winning combination, it's no real surprise when you see a guy win more than half the races.
Still super close in that sort of battle for P4, P5, as they are a couple cars side by side there as well. Out in front, these two running very nicely on their own.
There is the Hornet's Nest. You can see the aforementioned Tire Wizard Abner Acosta just slowly picking up the places when he can. It's lap 35 right now in this race. We're about halfway through the fuel run. We're hearing that tires may be the thing that determines when drivers come in. But here's the change for the lead. Matthew Long off of turn 2, gets to the inside of Trent Dinkel, and it's a pretty straightforward move. I think Trent knew that was basically a foregone conclusion with the closing rate of Matthew Long, and he said there's no point fighting that.
Yep, he let him have that, absolutely. And just thought, yep, I'll follow for a bit. Continue to extend our advantage out there at the top, because it is extending to 2.1 seconds now, and every lap it just seems to be they gain a tenth on the cars behind us. They continue to battle just behind Richard in the 56, so yeah, it's these guys battling. Yeah, it's all good and good at getting some track position, but you're losing time to the guys up in front.
A little bit of strategery here on lap 35. Tom Amasi is elected to be the first driver to come down pit road. It's an interesting strategy here, because we heard from our intrepid whistleblower Nick Hunter that the fuel window is about 60 to 65 laps in a 140-lap race. That's going to guarantee you a 2-stop unless there's a bunch of cautions. We have not had a caution yet in this race, so you do have to start thinking, if I'm going to have to make 2 stops, do I want to go 60-60-20, or do I want to do what Tom Amasi is doing and even out the stints a little bit more?
Yeah, it's definitely a strategy question that the drivers will have to ask themselves, and there are advantages and disadvantages to both, and they'll just have to figure it out. A lot of the time, when I'll figure out a couple of strategies for myself, and then I'll just say, okay, I'll start driving and see where I end up and see how I'm feeling, because the tires as well could also play a part in that decision.
Dane, I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me, but I think Chris Hudson, I think he has his butt kicker turned up pretty high, because that whole camera was shaking. Look at that, it's like an earthquake.
Yeah, I'm not sure it looks like there's a camera above Zed as well. I'm not sure what kind of a view that's getting, but I feel like it would be even worse.
Yeah, we've never seen that view, but we've seen some drivers. Sean Campbell once basically just gave us a zoom feed of his desktop because he's a little dork like that, and he was trying to play with us. But Chris Hudson, that is some technologically advanced stuff. And he's making me hungry as always. In the Krispy Kreme entry, always representing that brand. And you know what happened a couple of weeks ago? Ewan O'Leary was here in the booth with us. He said he's never had a Krispy Kreme before. I don't know how that's possible.
Okay, I know I've got a couple broadcasts booked with him. I will have to bring that up with him because that's unacceptable behavior.
Please say the word palaver a couple of times too. It was unbelievable. I was trying to do the TikTok joke with the old lady. Have you ever had a Krispy Kreme? Was it crispy? No, it just hit like a bag of wet sand.
That's absolutely unacceptable. I will have to bring this up with you.
I hope he's
It's not like
watching.
we don't have them in the UK.
Yeah, you can get them at Tesco.
Yeah.
We can't even get them at... Well, actually, you can get them at the grocery store in the U.S. if you go to Walmart or something, but something tells me Chris Hudson goes straight to the Splendid source and gets them straight from those hot conveyor belts. But right now, he's getting conveyor belted. He's getting passed by just about everybody. As Abner Acosta's gotten by him. Acosta's trying to get by our pole sitter himself, Josh Daniels, but Daniels is going very aggressive down to the bottom. Abner's got to figure out a way to make the high line work because that Josh Daniels number 77 is as wide as a next-gen car can be.
It really was. I thought for a second it was going to get turned as well, as the 5 was not looking to back out of that one anytime soon. Just about got off the gas in time. 77 living a little bit dangerously there, but it has allowed Hudson to sort of regain and catch back onto the back of these two. Stop falling back. It's almost in the clutches of good old Waldo there.
Good old Waldo joining the fray, and all of these guys are catching Trent Dinkle as well, who's completely lost touch with Matthew Long. Your race leader's up to a 1-second lead. There's a little bit of fighting further back. Charles Sumner and Robert Gamble. This has not been a great season for Charles Sumner, unfortunately. I don't know why. I don't know the details. I don't know if he's had less time to practice or whatever's gone on, but the lead admin of this series, the lead organizer of this series, he's got to do a lot of work anyway, but I hope we see Charles Sumner be a little bit more competitive on track next season, whatever that calls for. Because that Tropicana orange car, it's too beautiful to just run last every week.
It's one thing that I do love about the stock car paint schemes is they are very creative with the stuff that they put on the cars. We don't get that much in Europe and the GT stuff. It's all sort of boring, with lots of blue and white, and that's about it.
Don't even get me started about blue and white, red and black. There's all blend together. We have our own problems with that sometimes, with James O'Brien and Josh Daniels, both in red and green cars. But we got the bright. I guess I'll call it Grello now. I'll call it Grello for Byron Johnson. You got the only purple car in the field with Jordan Slater. They're pretty easy to differentiate. Is Trent Dinkle for private label Team Hype. He's one of the first leaders to bring it down pit road. The pit cycle has truly kicked off now with Trent Dinkle.
Wonder if we'll see any drivers react to that and head down themselves. It looks like there's a lot of drivers starting to struggle a bit with the tires. That is for sure. I've seen a couple of drivers now getting a little bit loose. And then also some drivers washing out as well. There's tires doing all sorts.
Looks like Jay McDonald either followed Trent Dinkle in or beat Trent Dinkle in. They were on 2 different laps, so it's difficult to tell. Nobody else coming in this lap except for Robert Bisaw Jr., who's going to join the fray as well. This is one of the interesting things about this series. With the lack of cautions we've had this season, this has been one of the cleanest seasons in PRL NASCAR Cup Series history. We've had so many of these completely open strategy races, and it's sometimes it's not fun in the booth to have to do your own calculations. It's always difficult for commentators to do math, but it certainly makes for an exciting race when basically every driver is on a strategy of their own.
Yeah, I need to get all of the spreadsheets in the world out to try and keep track of everybody. A lot of drivers making their way down to the pits now. This time it looks like that big group that was sat just off of P5, they're now all making their way down there as well. So looks like we'll be seeing quite a lot of the field heading down over the next couple of laps.
Waldo Walden is in, and here comes all of these guys. James O'Brien, Josh Daniels, Abner Acosta almost getting into each other under braking onto pit road. Your race leader Matthew Long is in. His teammate Richard Regan Jr. is in. His third teammate Taylor Stout, though, elects to stay out. Jordan Slater's going to stay out, and there's always a few drivers who like to go off strategy and go for a little bit of a risk. But for now, the majority of the field is in.
So we'll see how they get off of pit road. It's always really interesting to see.
Josh Daniels has that critical first pit stall, but it's not going to work out for him. Matthew Long wins the race off pit road. There goes Regan, rather. And as Acosta beating Daniels off of pit road, it was a drag race to the line. I don't know where they were at the cone. I don't know if Acosta was able to beat him. Gotta wait for them to come off pit road. It looks like Abner has done it, and Abner Acosta does get one of those critical positions. He couldn't do it on the track, but he's done it on pit lane. And James O'Brien has gotten a black flag for speeding in the pit lane. Mr. Consistency this season. He's almost always been in the top 10. It's all falling apart coming onto pit road.
Tricky to keep under that speed limit, especially when you're in a pack and you're like, well, I need to get out as quickly as possible. Very easy to sneak over that limit. No, a lot of drivers will be very sneaky with the limit, go over a bit and then hop back under just in time to avoid the black flags. And well, if that's what O'Brien was trying, he's got it slightly wrong.
Unfortunately, had his first non-top 10 of the season at Auto Club last week. It was P12, so the incredibly consistent run for James O'Brien came to an end. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to come out to an even less consistent end at the end of the season. He won the championship finale last season, actually showed up both of his teammates who won the playoff championship and the season championship at Chicagoland last season, but it was James O'Brien that got the win. He's going to have to wait one more season to get that done again. Charles Sumner brings it down pit road this time, so there's only a few stragglers left. Richard Pruitt, your race leader, Brett Punkari, who also likes to go off strategy all the time, and Mark Kalin. They're the last three non-takers, and they're hoping that a caution comes very soon, because they're about to get passed by Trent Dinkel legitimately.
Just taking a look at Seminario there for a second, and it was very close to the wall on the outside, coming out of turn 2 there. A couple of drivers taking those risks, trying to eke out as much lap time as they possibly can.
Seminario v Stout, two drivers on different strategies, 3 laps difference on these two tires. Up front, though, Trent Dinkel has started to break through. I do want to see his progress here because there is quite the difference in tire ages here. This is really showing off the differences in tire ages between 7 laps and 53 laps. Last lap for Trent Dinkel, a 30.5. Last lap for Mark Kalin, a 32.6. The tires are falling off incredibly, and you could see it visibly there with Trent Dinkel getting past Mark Kalin.
Yep, and it's even worse now because got a whole lot of cars on 4-5 lap old tires behind as well, so only backwards is where that car's going.
Pruitt and Punkari are still just hoping for that caution. That's the whole design behind their strategy. They've done this in many, many races this season. It's only worked out for them a couple of times, and even then they managed to lose all the spots they gained from doing it on the restarts, where it didn't even work out for them. But if they're hoping for a caution, they're probably not going to get it, because you can see the way everybody has stratified out in the track. There's a couple of groups, there's a couple of tandems, but there's not necessarily a massive group that's going to bring out a caution. And Pruitt and Punkari, doesn't look like their alternate strategy is going to work again.
Yeah, you'd like to think that the drivers out here, relatively on their own, are not going to be able to be causing too much drama in terms of cautions. But you never know. I feel like they might not be able to hold up for much longer because they've got Dinkel closing in at a massive rate.
And Dinkel is still running 2 seconds a lap faster than your race leader, Richard Pruitt. That is the magic of those fresh tires. But Trent Dinkel's going to have a little bit more on his plate in a couple of minutes' time, because Matthew Long, he did get jumped in the pit cycle, but Trent Dinkel is on 3 lap older tires than Long. So we'll take a look at how that battle progresses in a little bit, because this little pack here, the last couple of spots of what will eventually be the top 10 once Pruitt and Punkari come in, is really heating up, because Seminario's on the scene of Stout and a few others. Brandon Walter, Mr. Sausage and Peppers, here he comes to the outside. He's going to get by Johan Seminario.
Making it quite easy as well. Just about clears him before 3 and 4 as well. It is the best feeling ever, though, when you get out onto those fresh tires and you can just drive straight by everyone on the older tires. Feel like you're in an absolute rocket ship. It's fantastic. Pruitt down into the pit lane as well.
Yep, that little smoke cloud you saw coming off of turn 4, apparently that was because of Richard Pruitt. He's had a little bit of an oopsie himself coming onto pit road, and no black flag for it, though, so he's fine. He's like Abner Acosta on Wednesday night. He's just going to lose basically any progress he could have made on that alternate strategy, and I think we'll see him come out multiple laps down, unfortunately, just for waiting that long. But Johan Seminario, he's doing something different here. He's hanging back. We're not seeing him be very aggressive. We look a little bit further back to Brett Pancari, who is the last driver to stay out. Can he go for one more lap? If he can, he's going to lose the lead anyway, because Trent Dinkel's right behind him.
Yep, that is for sure. And driving straight by him will be Dinkel, you have to expect. His stout.
And
in that 11th position.
Here comes Walter on Besaw. Robert Besaw Jr. is actually he's one lap down because of a penalty he got himself. So it wasn't just James O'Brien who made a mistake on pit road. Robert Besaw Jr. makes sure he has a little bit buddy. He's not alone in his shame. So here comes Trent Dinkel whipping around the outside. Brett Pancari brings it down pit road finally, and Trent Dinkel gets to see the race lead for the first time tonight. Ooh, Walter getting all out of shape off of turn 4.
Yeah, that was not looking very tight at all. That was, a little bit all over the place in the rear. Kept it going in a straight-ish line. Will lose out on that position to Stout, though, and probably going to have to file back in line. No, seems to hang it around the outside there, actually.
Yeah, Mr. Sausage and Peppers himself, he's fighting back up on the top. Let's see if he's got things under control off of turn 4 this time. Brandon Walter, one of those drivers who can have a little bit of trouble saving the tires, but here he comes off of turn 4. It's a great switchback through the tri-oval back to the inside of Taylor Stout. Stout's got the momentum on the outside, though, and Brandon Walter continues the absolutely frustrating journey of being that little bit quicker than the car ahead, but matching them in all the wrong places and being unable to make that move.
At some point, you're going to have to give me the backstory on that nickname. It is a nickname and a half, as our championship leader wants that race lead back.
And it seems like it might be pretty easy. He has closed the gap down to Trent Dinkel very easily, and here it is again. It looks just like it did before. Matthew Long to the race lead once more. Easy stuff into turn 3. I said before that Trent Dinkel was leading the race for the first time. It was actually his second time. It's also Matthew Long's second time leading the race now, and Trent Dinkel's got to figure out how to not let him pull a full second lead again.
I feel like with the older tyres, that might be easier said than done, as now our Grello car is under attack.
Jordan Slater, Mark Kalin in the middle of this sandwich is also one lap down, because on the previous stint he unfortunately did a Mark Kalin thing and had a little bit of trouble with the tires. He was getting all sorts of out of shape off of turn 4, off of turn 2, and he is one lap down, one of those many, many drivers who is just desperately hoping for a caution to get one of those lucky dogs.
Yeah, well, we're almost halfway through the race yet. Only a couple of drivers having a few moments out of turn 2 that we've been seeing. Obviously, the one big one of Hogarth, who season ended early, but no caution came out for that either. And now, as you said, the drivers fairly spread out. No big packs formed as of yet.
Robert Gamble and Charles Sumner doing their own thing. I'm currently checking the data of the season. I know we've had a bunch of races in the Xfinity Series. I believe we've had some races in the Truck Series that were caution-free. But I'm trying to remember how many caution-free races we've had in the Cup Series. I think Darlington may have been caution-free. I think, potentially. But also Clayton Ham and Richard Regan Jr. got into each other, so there may have been a caution there. There was no caution in the Daytona road course, obviously, because they weren't baked into the road course racing. There was a caution on lap 1 last week, so that may be why I think that race went caution-free. But there isn't precedent this season. I'm wrong. We have had cautions this season. This could be the first time this season that we don't, though. I don't want to jinx anything.
You're doing a very good job for someone who doesn't want to jinx something.
That's true. I realized that like halfway through my statement. I was like, should I really be saying this? I'm going to jinx it again, but I got to put some good karma in the world or something.
Who's that trying to hang around the outside?
Mr. Richard Pruitt. On some of the freshest tires of anybody, actually, because he waited so long to come in. He did have that oopsie coming in, though, so even though he is on those fresher tires, he is one lap down, and he almost gets into Chris Hudson as he's trying to fight back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, play nice, guys.
The Melendez Online Digital Consulting car getting itself some RaceSpotTV time as always. And here's another one of those physics experiments we love to see. It's like being in a college lecture. You're just seeing physics at work here. Fresher rubber, more grip, and he's going to blow by Josh Daniels as he looks forward to Matthew Long about 6 cars up to try and get back on the lead lap. He's got a lot of work to do.
It's almost like multi-class racing. When you've got someone on such fresh tires, it's something else.
I'd be here for multi-class racing on the ovals. We heard that the PRL is thinking about doing a special IMSA series with some LMDH and GT3 multi-class racing, potentially on Fridays. They're still working out the details there. But why not put that out in an oval for one race? Why not try it out?
I did that with AI cars, and I quickly realized why it maybe wasn't such a fantastic idea. But, you know, it's all for fun at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. And if you want to have some fun with the PRL next season, signups are still open for every series in the PRL. And also there has been a very new and recent announcement. The IRO4 series, which has been the undercard series on Thursday nights, it's being replaced for next season. There is a new series in the PRL with the new Ray Race Cars Formula 1600 that's coming in. The IRO4 series will become the F1600 series. It's a new little open wheel car to play with, and signups are open for that and literally every other PRL series except the GT3 Fix series now. So you got 3 weeks to sign up.
That does sound like a good amount of fun. Those cars, they look great. Saw the preview lap that iRacing released of that around Jerez, which is also fantastic in addition to the simulator.
The PRL NASCAR Cup Series does have quite a few signups still open. There's 36 drivers currently registered, so if you like the looks of fighting with Chris Hudson and Josh Daniels, you absolutely can join the fray. Both of these guys will be back, of course. They're stalwarts of the series, and seeing them run together is also a stalwart of the series. You never have a race where Chris Hudson and Josh Daniels aren't together. It's incredible. They're just magnetized to each other. We've talked about this all season. They just cannot avoid each other. It's not like they run into each other or anything, but they're just dead even every single week. And one of these days, it's going to be dead even for the lead. Unfortunately, for now, it's dead even for 6th or for 8th.
That it is. We thought one of the cameras earlier on was a bit shaky. How about that one on the front stretch?
Whoever Mike Yao's hired to hold that camera, we need to give him some relief. He's crumbling under its weight. Here comes Seminario to the inside of Brandon Walter. Walter was one of those drivers, by the way, who signed up for the IRO4 series. We'll see if he sticks with it with the F1600 series. I have to imagine he will, because that is a free car, but we'll have to wait and see. Right now, we also have to wait and see if Seminario can steal his top 10 off of him through the tri-oval. Seminario not going as low as he could, still riding above the white line. Here comes Seminario to the inside in turn 1.
I do like the dodge. It looks really cool.
It does.
I do like that a lot.
I'm trying to think of what would be the strangest manufacturer to do, because having a
TFJ.
That would be pretty. I want a SsangYong, because we don't get those in the U.S. So that would be I'd be a fan of that. Just any of the manufacturers you don't get in the U.S. Because Brett Pancari started the trend with the Peugeot, or as you would say it, a Peugeot. We could get a Skoda. We could get a anything you could ever think of. A Tesla. Seat is what we've heard from producer Mike Yao.
Cupra.
Seat.
No one wants to Seat.
Reliant.
Yeah, Reliant. Paint the single wheel on the front of it.
Austin Healy. We just list car manufacturers for the rest of the broadcast. I think we could. I think we could do that for 64 more laps.
Yeah, I want to see more of the drivers do that. Actually,
I want a Morris Minor.
For that.
I could go for that. Here comes Josh Daniels to the inside. He's taking a peek to the inside. He's not all the way to the inside. He's realizing the frustration of being Josh Daniels or being Chris Hudson, because like I said, every single week you find the other guy, and you can't pass him because he's just the same guy duplicated. He's running the same lap times.
Yeah, that is one of the more infuriating things in racing, is when you know. You can probably get by them, and you try, and it's not going anywhere. So infuriating.
Chris Hudson is not a driver who makes mistakes often. If we ride on board with him again, or ride on board with his zoom camera as well, he may have a very, very shaky camera. It may look like his whole rig is about to fall apart, but Chris Hudson himself is not a very shaky boy, because you never see him make mistakes, and he's especially not going to make mistakes behind or ahead of his old buddy Josh Daniels. It's a good run off of 2 again for Daniels, but yet again, just can't get to the inside of Joshua Daniels. And there's Chris Hudson again. Like Elvis said, we are in Las Vegas. There's a whole lot of shaking going on.
Yeah, there is a whole lot of shaking going on with that camera angle. Yeah, I'm way more worried about the one up top. That one, it's shaking so much. It's shaking so much.
Whoa. A little bit of an overcorrection there as Richard Regan Jr. has passed Trent Dinkle for second. There's a little bit of trouble further back for Taylor Stout as well. But it's kind of gone under the radar. As we've watched these two guys fight, Matthew Long has absolutely run away from Richard Regan Jr. again. It's a 4-second lead for Matthew Long over his teammate Richard Regan Jr. Now makes it a Dirty South Racing 1-2. But there is so much time to make up here. It's a 1.5-mile track, so if I do the math in my head, a 4-second gap, that's like... I can't do the math in my head, but that's a solid couple of 100 feet.
Yeah,
you can't even see him.
Yeah, that's the more infuriating parts when you're going around the track and you're like, oh, I've lost touch of the leader. Yes, but now I don't even know where he is. You got to come around onto the backstretch to actually find him, and there goes the Pepsi car up on the high side.
Here's the move. Richard Regan Jr. on Trent Dinkle. Little bit of a slide, little bit of a going down to the apron, and a little bit of stealing second from Trent Dinkle. Once again, nothing Trent could really do there, because Richard was just that much faster, and that has been the tale of the season for Dirty South Racing. It hasn't been dominant for Richard Regan Jr. or for Taylor Stout. They've both run into some trouble of their own this season. Richard Regan Jr. hasn't actually won a race this season, but Matthew Long, with that Dirty South Racing team, with those setups they've built, has just been absolutely unbeatable. Richard Pruitt gets to his inside. Dirty South Racing may be unbeatable with the setups, but the very, very young tires of Richard Pruitt are going to help him very much, as he's got one more car to pass to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, definitely still a lot of work to do, and obviously that one more car is, well, it's quite far up the road.
It's the math I was trying to do. It's a 30-second lap around here. If there's a 4-second gap, that's like a 1/7 of the track length. But I can't do that math in my head. It's many, many feet that Richard Pruitt has to make up.
240 feet.
How many feet?
240. I think. No, hang on. No, I've got that totally wrong. Let me try that again.
Let's break out the calculators here.
I've done that and still got it wrong. Hang on, here we go. 360 feet.
All right, that's actually shorter than I thought. We couldn't do the championship math because Matthew Long has basically clinched the championship, so we had to...
Dinkle in the wall.
Yeah, Dinkle almost gets into the wall off of turn 2, or did he actually get into the wall? Is there a little bit of a scrape to the right side?
I think he bounced off it a little bit there.
0x for Trent Dinkle, apparently, but there was definitely a bounce there. We'll take a look at the replay as well, just to get a look at the side of that car. But Waldo Walden was able to take a peek to the inside of him, wasn't able to make the move. Trent Dinkle, though, feeling the pressure now that he's fallen back to third.
Yep, that he is. And Walden dropping back a little bit here as well. Lost a bit of time. Back behind Harvey now.
And look at Pat Harvey. Remember, he started, what, 17th in this race? And he's fighting for the top 3 now. This has been an incredible drive forward for Pat Harvey. And for SGE Esports, clearly couldn't find the qualifying pace on those 2 laps, but look at him, he's about to pass Trent Dinkel for 3rd.
Yep, to the inside he goes.
Side by side through 3 and 4, off of 4, Dinkel's high, Harvey's through, and it's a victory for mouthwash-colored cars everywhere.
See if Walden can try and catch up to these, make it a 3-way battle. Seeing some right front fender damage on the 9, but the hit that we've just seen was on the rear, so damage from a bit earlier.
Potentially Trent Dinkel playing with fire with the walls on the outside. Here comes Waldo Walden with Walter, giving him that power. We learned last week that he has the dog in him, but first and foremost, we're going to see what Trent Dinkel did to that wall through 1 and 2. Let's get a little bit loose behind Richard Regan Jr., and how hard did he hit the wall? Let's see. Oh.
Twice.
A boop and a boop, but I think he's gotten away with it. I don't see any real damage, but you get any further into the wall and you are getting damaged. Waldo Walden gets by.
Yeah, just as we looked away for a moment, Walden dropped back slightly, but then he picked it back up again.
And remember, Trent Dinkel is on the oldest tires of anybody in this lead pack. He came in 3 laps earlier than basically anybody else. So he is falling off the boat here. His teammate Abner Acosta is right behind, yet again on 3-lap fresher tires. This is not what Trent Dinkel wanted to see. After leading a ton of laps tonight, after out-qualifying his teammate by a mile, his teammate Abner Acosta is about to show him up here for the top 5.
We've got to expect the pit window to start opening up again relatively soon, alright?
Yeah, 50 laps to go.
Unless we see drivers start to hold off as long as possible, maybe hoping for a caution late on in the race, but...
Jay McDonald is in, and Trent Dinkel has been disconnected from the race. Unfortunately, the internet gods have bitten right at the wrong time, and I thank producer Mike Yao for being on that, because I have never seen a live reaction of a driver getting disconnected from a race.
I haven't either. That was, well, I thought maybe some internet issues, but no, that reaction says it all. It's definitely straight out of there.
I wonder if
that is...
Well, his PC couldn't have crashed because the camera's still rolling, but something has gone tragically wrong for Trent Dinkel in the worst season of his PRL career. He's had so much bad luck. He's been taken out so many times. He's had some unfortunate runs of his own. And I guess this is the only way the Trent Dinkel season could end, in just comedically bad misfortune.
Well, I think that he's used up all of his bad luck now, and next season can only be better.
That is entirely possible. That is what I would like to see from Trent Dinkel.
Let's hope.
This is the first season he hasn't won a race in 5 seasons in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. So the bad luck for Trent Dinkel has to end soon. He was the champion last season. It's a very, very big slump this season, but we will see Trent Dinkel back next season, and he's always fast. He's always got the pace, so it's got to turn around eventually. Bad luck can't last forever.
Look to the inside here.
Here comes his teammate James O'Brien on Byron Johnson. That is not for position because James O'Brien got a penalty. I'm remembering that now. But James O'Brien, another one of those drivers who never gives up, even if he's not fighting for position. He's not just going to back out of the race. He's going to stick with it, and he is going to hope that a caution saves him soon. It hasn't yet.
Yeah, we're getting close towards the rear of this race, and finally we got some drivers into the pit lane, a couple of them from the front, well, second pack of cars.
Yeah, Richard Regan Jr., Pat Harvey, Waldo Walden. Regan was very late in the brakes. He did lock up the front tires a little bit. I think he was good on speed, though. We're hearing from our whistleblower, Nick Hunter, that his computer also completely froze the same time Trent Dinkel's did. He was able to get back into the session, but Trent Dinkle got kicked out, so I think we know who we can blame.
Oh dear. Oh, a lot of activity on pit road. Lots of activity on pit road. Still, Long stays out. No, Long is back in as well. Everybody's in.
So all kicking off, Matthew Long, Acosta, Daniels, Hudson, Brandon Walter stays out. He's going to be one of those alternate runners. I think Jose the Funky Cold Medina is going to stay out as well. Charles Sumner and our old buddy Richard Pruitt going off strategy as well. But it all comes down to this. The final stops. Matthew Long. It is a reasonably, it's a normal stop. I thought it was going long, but no, 14.4. Matthew Long out and about. He's going to hold his very big race lead. Now we wait for the blend from Richard Regan Jr., who did come in one lap earlier, so he's going to have a little bit of an undercut, but is one lap enough to jump his teammate? Nope, not even close. Regan has made up 2 seconds, but unfortunately, simple math, when your teammate has a 4.5 second lead over you, one lap isn't quite enough to make the undercut work.
Yeah, it's a very impressive lead that Long has managed to pull out there, and he's come back out into quite a lot of space as well. So Long looking to end this championship on a very big high if he can keep up the pace that he's been running.
You can see some artificial movement on the Christmas tree on the side of your screen. Jose Medina, Charles Sumner, Richard Pruitt all staying out, all going off strategy. Jose the Funky Cold Medina, not so funky and cold anymore on that strategy. He's brought it down pit road. He's not going to wait for a caution. He is going to fall to the back of the field. But Richard Pruitt, he's falling to Matthew Long now. That's not going to stand for much longer. There it is. And Charles Sumner, he needs the caution to come out right now if he wants this strategy to work, I think.
Yeah, he needs it. Yeah, exactly now. He needs it before he can get caught by that 28, and that 28 is catching, and he is down to the pit lane anyway.
Sumner has made his last stand. Richard Pruitt should be down soon as well. And then we'll start to see the real order of the field start to work out. We're still waiting on Aaron Beaver as well and Richard Pruitt. So they are the last two non-takers in the top 10. This is for position, though. Abner Acosta versus Waldo Walden will be for 4th in this race. Abner knows the championship is basically out of sight now with the lack of cautions we've had, with the lack of attrition, and with the lack of trouble for Matthew Long. He still wants to end it on the highest high possible, and that may be 4th.
It may well be. Waldo in his way at the moment, but we'll see how easy it will be for the 5 to get by. Just sitting behind at about that 0.2 of a second mark as Harvey up into 2nd, a little bit further up the road.
Indeed he has. Harvey the Wonder Hamster getting by Richard Pruitt early on, or Richard Regan Jr. rather, early on. Very confusing to have 2 Richards in the field. We haven't had that for so many seasons. But there goes Pat Harvey by Richard Regan Jr. For now, we know Pat Harvey's got some short run speed, but can he hold him off for 40 more laps?
It's a great question. 100 down. 40 more to go. Are we going to get a caution? I'm trying to look at the different packs that we've got, and there's not a whole lot that seem to be making any moves that look a little bit sus, but maybe as we get a little bit closer towards the end of the race, everyone wanting to finish this final race of the season on a high, and maybe some more desperate moves come out.
I think if we're going to get it, it would be one of those things we saw early on in the race with Taylor Stout and Eric Papineau just losing it on their own, but they were able to save it. So it would need to be a very, very big oopsie to bring the caution out.
And enough that they don't just immediately tow and get themselves out of the way as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be too big, but just enough for iRacing to go, okay, time to bring everyone down to pace speed.
Richard Pruitt's on those oldest tires of anybody, 46-lap-old tires. He's running the high line, though. He's keeping things a little bit wider to make sure he's not putting too much stress into the car. So I don't think he'll be one of our cautions either. He's just riding the top, occupying a wider line, not turning the wheel quite as hard, though it unsettle the car. but he's got some much, much quicker drivers on some 40-lap fresher tires. Could this be where the caution finally comes? It's a little bit of a pinch point. Richard Pruitt's going to open the door, though, and he's not going to fight too hard. He knows what's about to come.
Oh, wow. Rocket ships, like I was saying earlier. You are literally in a rocket ship compared to other drivers out there. 47-lap-old tires. Those are not very tasty.
They are not tasty indeed. Unfortunately for Richard Pruitt, it's not going to be the end of the season he wanted. The Melendez online digital consulting car with the Frito-Lay sponsorship. His teammate Mike Witt actually works for Frito-Lay. Unfortunately, we haven't seen much of Mike this season. Hopefully he'll be back next season because we always love to see a little bit of Mike Witt and all those Frito-Lay sponsors that he somehow manages to officially get on his car. As there's Mr. Mark Kalin, Bubbles the Wall Sponge himself, has been, unfortunately, a little bit of a wall sponge this week. I think he's just gotten out of the shower because his hair looks sopping wet, or maybe he's just sweating. Maybe Las Vegas is a tough time for him.
Well, especially when you're on the older tires, the track has not been very kind to the drivers. They've had to wrestle the cars about a bit. I feel like if we're going to get a caution, it's coming from these four, surely.
Very well could. Chris Hudson and Josh Daniels are always kind and courteous to each other, but when you put another teammate, Taylor Stout, who's not a Love Racing teammate, he's got his own agenda with Dirty South Racing. You got Jose the Funky Cold Medina behind, who is a lap down. Anything could happen here. It's entirely possible. And also, we've lost our pit reporter of sorts. We've lost our intrepid insider Nick Hunter because apparently the same thing that kicked Trent Dinkel out of the session, it has now kicked Nick Hunter out of the session. So there's some kind of fiber optic link between those two, and it's just been cut.
Definitely not what we want to be seeing.
You never want the curse of the internet to strike in the season finale. You never want it to strike ever, but when it kicks you out in the last race of the season, it's just, it's so much worse. Trent Dinkel has already come into the PRL Discord. He's just said, you know what, I'm cursed in season finales. It doesn't get any better. Richard Pruitt finally down pit road. He's waited until the absolute last possible second. He's finally brought it down. Unfortunately, I believe that's going to put him 2 laps down because he was already a lap down saving those tires, or using up those tires, and now he's finally back out, I think, 2 laps down. He's causing all sorts of trouble.
Look at that gap up in front. 3.7 seconds. 28 car is flying along.
Yeah, Matthew Long, I'm hoping next season that it's a little bit closer of a fight, because we've had some great races this season. At a couple of the races Matthew won, for that matter, at Auto Club, at Michigan. We've had some fantastic duels, some fantastic battles this season. But Matthew Long and Dirty South Racing have set a standard that the rest of the field are going to need to chase in the next 3 weeks.
I mean, looking at the TV cams, you can barely see the cars behind these two. 4th and 5th. Waldo's still holding off Acosta. But for how long can that last?
Here comes Pat Harvey on a little bit of lap traffic. Jay McDonald in the 8 has had some trouble tonight, and Ken Holland as well. He's kind of running his own race here, but here comes Abner Acosta to the inside of Waldo. Walden into turn 1. He's almost already clear. Waldo tries to run high, but Acosta loves the bottom, and he's clear. Acosta's up to 4th.
That was my answer very, very quickly.
Johan Seminario trying to do a little bit of copycat here to the inside of Eric Papineau, who's having a pretty underrated run. Eric Papineau, who had that huge save a little bit earlier, looked to be baking the tires a little bit. This looks to be potentially his first top 10 of the season, I think, as Johan Seminario is going to dump him out of the top 9. But Robert Bissaw Jr., who's behind there, is not fighting these guys for position. Eric Papineau gets past, but he's not going to get past for position for 2 more cars unless Brandon Walter gets to him.
Yeah, I think those tires going off in the first and after a couple of slides there you got quite lucky. It was fairly late on in the stint anyway. Could get rid of those tires and get some fresh ones on because those tires were really not playing ball. But top 10, very respectable position. As Harvey's just been passed, it looks like, for the top 2 steps on the podium.
Yeah, but Richard Regan Jr.'s finally got it done. That early run pace for Pat Harvey has unfortunately not been enough for him. But Eric Papineau trying to hold back Walter. He's stuck in a melange of lapped cars with Aaron Beaver, Robert Besaw Jr., all holding back Brandon Walter a little bit, and Byron Johnson as well. Eric Papineau can't run away, though, as he gets into the wall off of turn 2.
Couple of drivers that we're seeing now into that wall off and onto the back stretch. Single file again for the time being, but a couple drivers looking all over the rear bumpers. And now down to the inside as well.
Walter has got him. Unfortunately, Eric Papineau is going to lose his second top 10 of the season. He did finish in the top 10 at Kentucky, and right as I say that, he's going to fight back. He's going to try and get that top 10 back, but he's got nothing for Brandon Walter. He washes up the road, gets the aero wash right ahead of his teammate Robert Besaw Jr., and Brandon Walter takes the last spot in the top 10, and here comes Byron Johnson to make sure Eric Papineau's life is even harder.
Here he comes indeed, and that 11th spot now under pressure as well as
Papineau in the 37, Robert Besaw Jr. a lap down in the middle, and the Grello of Byron Johnson on the scene, but he can't decide who to follow. Do I go with Besaw? Do I go with Papineau? There's just a wall of cars in front of me.
He's got to watch out because he's got a car approaching up on his outside as well. He's got to pick someone.
And that's our old buddy Richard Pruitt on those insanely fresh tires. He has been off strategy all night long, and now he's going to cause a little bit of trouble for these guys because he is so much faster, and he's going to blow by them to try and fight to get one of his 1 laps back, but he has got quite a journey to make up if he wants to get that lap back. We look a little bit further ahead, as Pat Harvey has lost that spot to Richard Regan Jr., but he's not losing him. He's still hanging with him. I don't know if Pat Harvey has entirely used his stuff up because he's still stuck with Richard for second. This might not be over.
Here we are with the shakiest camera in all of Las Vegas.
I think there might be a few shakier cameras in Las Vegas, maybe some phone cameras in the casino, but at least in wherever Las Vegas Motor Speedway technically is, in the desert, I have to imagine whoever is manning that camera, he's pretty high on the list. He should get an award.
Yeah, we'll see if we can speak to friends at the VCO. See if we can get a Simi award for shakiest camera.
Ooh, I'm up for that. I mean, we're already going to win the next Simi Award for most Krispy Kreme broadcast, or most Krispy Kreme mentions on a broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
We might get most manufacturers mentioned over the course of a broadcast. Me and Ewan are going to get the award for most times said palaver on a broadcast. There's all sorts. I know producer Mike Yao is just writing all these down right now. He's gonna send them all in for us here. Taylor Stout in the number 66 on the scene with Josh Daniels. Josh Daniels and Chris Hudson right next to each other as Taylor Stout tries to break up the love fest.
I heard our producer Mike trying to say something to us. Didn't hear a word of it.
Nope. He's saying that he produces the Simis. So we're hearing that we do have an insider there. So if there's any awards we need to get in the Simi Awards, the PRL, we have our insight. We have our insider. We can get in there.
It's corruption at its finest, but we'll go with it.
And speaking of corruption and collusion, Trent Dinkle has joined the conspiracy theory. He's calling conspiracy because both him and Nick Hunter had the same issue at the same time. It is absolutely Nick Hunter's fault. He's not here in the booth anymore because he's still figuring out his internet stuff, so he can't stop us.
I think that's perfectly fair. It's not here.
Exactly. Mark
Hashtag
Kalin.
blame Nick.
Mark Kalin 1 lap down, or is he 2 laps down? No, he's 4 laps down, even better, but he still gets by Josh Daniels. As that's Tamamasi getting into a little bit of trouble off of turn 2. He saves it again, though.
Still no caution.
Still no caution. There is a diversity of tire ages in the field. You can say the very least. And we finally just saw one of those differences meeting in the middle.
Yeah, if you take a look a little bit further back in the field, you've got 24, 15, 22, 26, 1, 26, 9. So, yeah, it's safe to say you've definitely got a variety of different tire wear situations going on.
And because this has been such a long run, there's only 13 drivers left on the lead lap. Last one is Clayton Ham, who has had a pretty solid race of his own. He had a disappointing qualifying, but he has just run his own race. We haven't said his name once because he's just been riding on his own all night, doing his own thing. He's up into the top 13, and he is running faster lap times than Eric Papineau. So it may be a top 12 run for Clayton Ham and YS Motorsports to end a season that for him has been full of bad luck as well.
Pat Harvey is slowly getting caught. Couple lap cars behind, but Abner Acosta slowly gaining.
The tire wizard can never count him out. He's coming. Last lap for Abner was only half a tenth faster, but that was, I think, because he was in a little bit of traffic. This lap, he's in completely clean air for the moment. Off turn 4, let's do some number comparison here. We might not be able to do math, but we can do simple subtraction. At the line for Pat Harvey, it is a 31.6, and at the line for Acosta, it's a 31.7. So Acosta was actually slower that time.
Yeah, just dropping back ever so slightly, although that may not be helping the driver in 4th position at the moment.
And Mark Kalin, he may be 4 laps down, but Dane, he's running the fastest laps of anybody. You just told me Mark Kalin just ran a 30.1. That's like half a second faster than anybody else has done all night.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing screen, and it looks like on our overlay it's saying that it was Chris Hudson that has the fastest lap of the race. That was a 30.347, which is in its own right very quick. But then I'm looking down the timing sheet itself, and I've got a 30.101 for Kalin here. Just rapid. Currently setting laps of 30.8 was the last lap. See when it updates as he comes across the line in a moment, but still very quick. About a second a lap quicker than those drivers up at the front.
Yeah, I think as the cloud cover has come in, I think it's gotten a little bit cooler here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Mark Kalin has taken advantage of putting some fresh tires on the car very, very late in the race. He may be 4 laps down, but you do get 1 point for that fastest lap. You do get 1 bonus point, so this is just Mark Kalin's way to get us to mention him one more time this season.
Another way is if we got a caution.
Oh, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Mark Kalin, you know what you might have to do, but also we get the trade-off there. By virtue of him having the freshest tires of anybody in the field, he's probably the least likely driver to bring it out.
Yeah, that's true, but shenanigans unlapping, I don't know. I'm just trying to find a way that we can get one with 10 laps to go, because going 140 laps green at Las Vegas is quite something.
It would be quite something. It would be the first time this season on a non-road course that we've gone caution-free. But if you remember the PRL rulebook, the race does not end at 140 laps. It's a 90-minute time limit. Or it does end at 140 laps, but if there is a caution within the last couple of laps of the race, there is a 90-minute time limit, so we will have time to go to a green-white checker if we need to. There's only 8 laps left to go in the race, 9 laps left to go in the race. That's only like 3 or 4 minutes, so we've got 15 minutes to play with. So if some drivers do decide to bring out a caution in those final 5 or so laps, we could have a green-white checker to finish this thing out.
Seeing in the YouTube chat as this crew chief, I requested Mark to come down for 4 match perfect tires for fastest lap, and boy is it working.
Oh, it's not working for Robert Besaw Jr. though, into the wall off of turn 2. But again, no caution's going to come out for just these little teensy tiny mistakes. It's going to have to be an absolutely massive wreck for something to happen. But here comes Josh Daniels and Chris Hudson. Could this be the way the rivalry finally ends? And it ends the love fest if they finally hit each other, just like a little bit earlier tonight in the earlier today in the IndyCar race, when a friendly rivalry came to blows. Could that be what Josh Daniels and Chris Hudson think about doing? Probably not, because off turn 4, Josh Daniels loses all the gap he made up.
It sucks when that happens. Just one corner and suddenly all of your progress is completely gone.
Yep, and when you got 7 laps to go, you can only make so many of those mistakes. Yep. Off turn 2, he's got a little bit of a run, but he's still just stuck 4 tenths off of Chris Hudson. And he needs to find a little bit more speed. Through 3 and 4, Ken Holland is up ahead in the lapped car. He's going to pinch down and hold up Chris Hudson. That might be what Josh Daniels needed. It's not going to help him that much, but Hudson did have to check up there for Holland.
Through they both go then. And back out in front. A couple more lap cars now going side by side, a bit further behind them as well. It's the 24 going through there, Jose Medina.
Jose 1 lap down, I believe. He's one of the many drivers. He's been on the lead lap. He's led laps somehow. He's been laps down. Everybody's just all over the place tonight.
Yeah, right at the end of the second pit cycle, I think he was just about in front for a lap or so.
That's 1 point though. That's 1 bonus point. So if you're Jose Medina, you're gonna take that one to the bank. Here we go again, off of 4. Josh Daniels closing the gap just a little bit. It's tantalizingly close. He's coming. He's getting closer. But is he going to run out of time here? 4 laps to go at the line. 6 more miles. And Josh Daniels is still stuck.
How do you go about strategizing? How can I get up into that 6th spot? Gotta be tough. This could be interesting.
Yeah, Abner Acosta, our tire wizard, has not been so tire wizardy in this stint. Waldo Walden is stuck with him. The lapped car, Scotty Johnson, a little bit further back, is stuck with him, and Waldo Walden is not done here. And he's closer than Josh Daniels was to Chris Hudson. This is actually a closer fight than that was. And off of turn 2, Waldo's got to run. He looks to the outside of Acosta. Now he looks to the inside of Acosta coming into turn 3. It's not going to be close enough to send it in, but Waldo is making Walter's presence known.
That he is. He's only going to have 2 opportunities around the 1.5 miles at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to try and get something done here. Maybe a bit of a push from a lap car, perhaps.
Maybe. If Scotty Johnson elects to be a good SGE esports teammate, it is entirely possible. But off of turn 2, looks like it's not good enough of a run for Waldo this time. Can he set up Abner off of turn 4 this time and get a little bit closer for one final shot? We'll have to wait and see. But up front, Matthew Long has taken the white flag for one more lap this season. The most dominant driver in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series is going to get a victory lap of sorts. He's coming down the back straight now. He's won 5 out of the 9 races this season. It has been a dominant season like we haven't seen in quite a while in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. And in 2023 Season 1, it's going to be a 60% win rate for your Season 1 champion, Matthew Long. He wins at Las Vegas, and he wins the championship.
Can't help but feeling all these calculations that we were doing, Jake, of whereabouts does he need to finish to secure the championship. Well, he's just gone and won the race anyway, so all that for nothing.
That's the easiest way to do it. Waldo Walden loses out, unfortunately. Doesn't get by Abner Acosta on the last lap. Mr. Brett Punkari is going to be the last finisher, 2 laps down. Last sight for that Peugeot in Season 1. What a season. What a season we've had, dominated by Matthew Long. The most deserving driver, definitely got this championship. But we had a win from James O'Brien, we had a pair of wins from Abner Acosta, we had Taylor Stout winning at Daytona, and it all ends with Matthew Long winning the Drivers' Championship and Dirty South Racing with Long, Richard Regan Jr., and Taylor Stout winning the team's championship as well. It was a Dirty South Racing 1-2 to end it all as Johan Seminario gets to have a little bit of fun. Pat Harvey comes home third to end the season. A great finish for him. And Abner Acosta needed some trouble for Matthew Long to happen, and it just didn't. Abner Acosta does not win the championship this season. Excuse me. Waldo Walden comes home in the last spot in the top 5. And then it's the old buddies Chris Hudson and Josh Daniels, 6th and 7th. Taylor Stout, Johan Seminario, and Brandon Walter round out the top 10. Then P11 went to Byron Johnson, the last driver on the lead lap in a 140-lap green flag run. Eric Papineau comes home 12th, and Clayton Ham comes home unlucky 13th with a very quiet run for him. Scotty Johnson, Jose the Funky Cole Medina, Ken Holland, Jay McDonald, Charles Sumner, Richard Pruitt, and Aaron Beaver were all one lap down at the end of it all, as was Robert Besaw Jr. Brett Punkari went 2 laps down for Williams and Peugeot. Robert Gamble was 2 laps down as well after taking a gamble. James O'Brien got a penalty. He was 4 laps down. Mark Kalin had all sorts of trouble, as did Tom Amasi. And then we get into the used car lot of cars with heavy damage. Jordan Slater and Joe Hoggard had heavy damage. Trent Dinkel had no damage. Unfortunately, he had some internet damage, though, that kicked him out of the session. And that was the 29-car field for our Las Vegas finale. And now we wait. The Dirty South Racing drivers are having too much fun. They're trying to get their screenshots for social media and everything, so we can't talk to them until they're done polluting the Nevada atmosphere.
Well, I mean, you're not going to see much if they're going for screenshots. They're making a bit of a mess out there.
Yeah, just get a white rectangle at this point.
Yep, that's all you're getting.
I've never seen cars hugging like this, but mid burnout, I'm going to drag Matthew Long here into the booth. Well, first of all, Matthew Long, is this the first time we've done a mid burnout interview?
I'm off the track now, but you guys are close.
we were so close. There we go. Now we can see that the engine may have just burst. But Matthew Long, 6 out of 10 races won this season, just absolutely dominant. How does that championship feel after 10 weeks?
Oh man, it feels awesome. First of all, I just got to thank the whole team at Dirty South Racing. Taylor Stout, I think he's the smartest guy on iRacing when it comes to these setups. Rich, James, Bobby, Chris, and John. I think we've just got an awesome team. We work so well together. Everyone's putting in work, and it shows on the racetrack. So it's not just me, it's the whole team.
It is indeed that whole team, and it is a team's championship for Dirty South Racing as well. So we've gotten everybody their shout-outs, but talk us through how well everybody has worked in this team this season and how you're going to take that into next season with the open setups continuing.
Yeah, I think we're seeing kind of the results of our work. Taylor and I, when the next gen came out a while ago, we decided we were going to hop right on it and just learn this car and not focus on anything else. And we put a good year in last year, just me and him, learning the car, coming up with our process, figuring out what works, what doesn't. And then going into this year, we decided to expand a little bit. We're so glad to get Rich in. He's an awesome driver, gives great feedback, and then the other guys too. And it's just made us stronger, to be honest. So going forward, we just want to keep improving. I say it every time, we just approach it a week at a time. We got the same process we do each week, and we're just going to keep doing that.
Well, Matt, congrats on the win tonight. Congrats on the championship this season, and we will see you in 3 weeks' time, Mr. Defending Champion.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Hey, I really appreciate the broadcast. You guys do the best job out there, and Charles and everyone run an awesome league, so thank you.
Always a pleasure. Matthew Long, your champion of the PRL world this season, coming home just short tonight. Richard Regan Jr., though, his teammate, another Dirty South Racing driver, is with Mr. Dane Baird.
Yeah, Richard, welcome to the booth once again. Pretty decent result for you to cap off the season. Obviously, a fantastic team result for Dirty South Racing as well. Just talk us through that race from your perspective.
Yeah, I've been able to put in some practice this week. Work schedule changed a little bit. So me and Matt and Taylor, we've been running laps the last couple of days, trying to build a really good car. We couldn't really fire off. None of us really could fire off that good. We had the long run car tonight for sure. for some reason, I was worse at firing off than them two. And then sometimes I could stick with Matt in the long run, and sometimes I couldn't. But overall, I mean, I think this last week here, this race, I made some good gains in the tire saving department, and finally had a race where I didn't get junked. So that was nice.
Yeah, and a pretty consistent top 5 finishes for you this season as well. What do you think you can take forward from this season into the next one?
Well, if I can stop getting wrecked, I'd like to start top 3 in it and pop off some wins here if I can. We'll see. I don't know if you guys can pull Taylor Stout up from the waiting room, but Taylor deserves a lot of credit here. He puts in a lot of time, and he's big brains of the operation. Him and Matt, they put in an immense amount of time, and if it wasn't for them two, I wouldn't be running this fast, and we wouldn't have gotten the team's championship.
Well, Taylor, you got anything to say to that?
Richard, I can't believe you said something nice about me. That's great. It's good to hear. Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Matt. And to obviously the team, the championship for both. Literally leaving zero doubt out there, not any luck involved. It's just domination across the board. To bounce off of what Richard was saying, this such a team win. Anytime any of us is successful, it's the whole team working together. Obviously, Richard and Matt have crazy talent that kind of take the things we're able to do as a team and kind of see things come to fruition on how things finish out. So, team win. Congratulations to you, Richard, and the rest of the team as well. And thank you all for having us.
And I will say, at Daytona, when it was only Dirty South Racing fighting for the win, you know who won that race? Taylor Stout. I'll say that much.
Oh, yeah. I try to talk about as much as I can.
Well, congrats on the team's championship again, guys, and we'll see you next season.
Thank you.
Before I head out, I'd like to give a shout out. One of my buddies passed away this last weekend, Rob Cohen. So I had him on the car with me tonight, and dedicate this race to him and team championship to him. And thank you guys at RaceSpot and everyone who supports the team and supports me, and everyone at the PRL.
Always a pleasure putting these races on, and our condolences for your loss. Congrats on the team's championship, guys, and we will see them next season. We got our third place finisher as well, Mr. Pat Harvey for SG Esports. Another great finish for you, Pat, to end the season. It was a little bit of a disappointing qualifying, I'm sure, but how did you drive it up to third?
Yeah, qualifying, I forgot to practice qualifying. Turns out you should probably practice. So missed it there, but racing, let's see, practice this week. The car, I figured out pretty early that our car pretty much got just looser and looser on the run. So I just decided I was going to baby it the whole race and just hope for the best, and it seemed to work out. I didn't expect to be able to run from 18th and make it up that far, but I think after the first pit stop, I started realizing that we were saving pretty good. So just saving tires, I think, is what made it happen.
Pat, you have a new fan in the booth this weekend, because we know that you've run that teal color for so many seasons now, but Dane Baird here with us for the first time. He's been really attracted to the teal color, so you've won another driver over. Is there a story behind the teal? Because like I said, you've run it for so many seasons and it stands out so much. You can't confuse your car for anybody else.
Thank you so much for saying that. Honestly, I picked I just wanted a bright color. So my grandma, Mammy, she watches every race, right? And on the broadcast, it's like hard to see. It's hard to pick out any car when you're watching a broadcast. So I was like, I just want to do a bright color so Mammy can see which car is mine. So I landed on teal. I painted it, and then I liked it, so I've stuck with it ever since. So I appreciate you saying that.
That is the most incredible story I've ever heard. And shout out Mammy, thanks for tuning in. And trust me, I'm very happy that we can pick Pat Harvey out of the pack as well. It is so easy to differentiate that car. Congratulations on third end the season, Pat, and we'll see you in hopefully the same color next season.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Pat Harvey, third place, but number one in the bright colors department. We got another driver to talk to, because of course we're going to talk to Mr. Brett Pancari. as always, so kind to turn the Zoom on. Did the Williams shirt bring you any good luck or bad luck tonight?
No luck at all.
Are we feeling 2020 Williams or 2023 Williams?
2020, but it's more me. I've kind of realized the past couple of weeks I'm not very good with this car on these big tracks. Everyone else could just kind of throw it down, like go really hard on the gas and whatnot, and I just can't do that. So like Auto Club, I was really bad. Like I couldn't hold the bottom. This week I was just kind of running my normal pace, because if I try to run hard to stay with these guys at the front, I just burned the tires off. So it's just been a struggle the last couple of weeks, and I guess I'm glad to see the season over, in all honesty.
So are we going to see you back next season in this car with a little bit of a re-rack, or are you going to try something different next season and see if maybe one of the other NASCAR series works out?
I'm going to be out of PRL this next season because I'm going to be concentrating my efforts on some FTF Cup races land on Sundays, so I'm going to leave some room for that. And the season after that, though, I'm going to return to PRL, but I may go back to a road series. I'm kind of eyeing up GT3 perhaps, or run the NASCAR cars again. I'm not sure which. So, well, but it depends on what my time schedule is too. It really depends. I can't really plan too far ahead.
All right, I can't kick you out before I mention this. Dane Baird is just spamming our production chat right now. Fluffy friend, fluffy friend, fluffy friend. I think we need an introduction to Mr. Dane.
Well, this is Eve. I had her with me after the race at Iowa. She's pretty much a cuddly cat. She likes to come down here whenever I run, and she's probably hungry. I probably want to feed her soft meals. She just wants to hang out with me, either or. So, at least she came down here at a good time instead of when I'm racing. So I don't have to worry about her chewing wires or anything like that.
We did see Trent Dinkle's cat behind him right when his internet went out. So maybe it was the cat's fault. Maybe we can blame the cat. But anyway, Brett, 10 race season, the manufacturer that sticks out the most in the field. Thank you for turning your Zoom on for us for 10 weeks and giving us so much help there. We enjoyed watching the curling last week, and we'll see you when we see you next.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks again to the PRL for allowing me into this Cup Series. I kind of got caught a little bit off guard. There was open setup, but I had setups from VRS and Makoni setup shop because I cannot set up a car at all. And big thanks again to Corey Rutherford at CJR Graphics for doing this Peugeot car and keeping the Princess Daisy tradition alive. So, like I said, it'll be a little bit tough not being back in PRL because, like I said, I'm making room for FTF and also RSR series, which I'm running there tomorrow as well in the Cup Series at Vegas, and I'll probably be slow again, but I'll try to come back for a PRL, not this coming season, but season after, and either be on ovals again or maybe go back to road courses, maybe GT3s.
Well, we look forward to seeing Brett Punkari again, and you can catch him in that Real Sim Racing series in RSR here on RaceSpotTV on Monday night, so you don't have to go anywhere. It'll still be Brett Punkari time. I'm going to talk to one more driver before we get out of here because we do have time. That was such a fast race that we get to talk to Eric Papineau for, I believe, the first time this season. It was a pretty solid race, Eric, to end the season. Up and down, a couple of scary moments. Talk us through it.
Yeah, definitely feel bad about getting loose and put down into Hoggard there. It wasn't a fun time. Just glad that for the most part, everybody survived. Feel bad for him having a rough finish to his season. I mean, definitely been more down than up for me, though, this year.
And were you expecting when we came in tonight to have 140 laps of green flag running? We've had some long runs this season, but we haven't had a caution-free race, and it finally came here.
Yeah, I felt this was going to be a good race in that aspect. Vegas tends to be really good to that for clean racing. Definitely tight pack racing, especially with this car. You just never know what to expect in the end. But everybody held it together, had overall a really clean race, so it's been a good time. Definitely sweating right now.
So I see that you are signed up with us next season. You'll be back for the Cup Series next season. Are you looking forward to next season? We basically know what tracks are coming up because of the NASCAR calendar. How do you think it's going to go with another season with SGE?
Looking forward to it. Starting to hit some of the tracks that I'm more comfortable at.
Well, Eric, we've enjoyed having you here this season as always, and I know we'll see you as well again tomorrow night on RaceSpotTV and RSR, so we'll see you in about 20 hours' time.
Absolutely sounds good. Thank you for everything you guys do. Always a good time, and gonna have a good season hopefully next time around. Got to get back into the playoffs.
Always a pleasure. Eric Papineau for SGE. And that's going to round out all the drivers we get to talk to this season. Dane, and would you believe it? I'm live in motion. I'm not frozen. It's incredible. But I could just stand here like this for the rest of the night. I think I sold that pretty well.
There we got there in the end.
There wasn't enough physical comedy in the PRL this season. We had to break out a little bit of it, but what a season, and you can't really say much more. The most dominant driver, the fastest driver won the championship, and that's how it should be, Dane.
You can say that again. Dominant is kind of
the fastest driver won the championship, and that's how it should be, Dane.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just tonight, just pulling out leads that no other driver was able to catch. Like every time, got out in front and then just pulled away. Just many seconds of an advantage after a few laps. So yeah, really deserving of the race victory tonight, and obviously championship as well. Just 6 out of 10 wins is ridiculous.
It is indeed ridiculous, but that's going to round out our coverage of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series in 2023 Season 1. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time for the start of Season 2 here on RaceSpotTV, and we have one more PRL finale to go. We're not done. The GR86 and the GT4 Series will end their championships on Monday night, coming up here on RaceSpotTV, literally tomorrow, March 6th. So that'll be quite the pleasure, and that'll be our last PRL finale of the season. Then we will go to the traditional 3-week break, and then we'll be back with everything new, the MX-5 GR86 Clio Series, the Production Car Challenge Series, the F1600 Series, and every other series that you know and love so much from the PRL. But for this season, for me, for Dane Baird, for Mike Yao, for Hugo Luis, for Ewan O'Leary, for Taylor Burris, for Terry Radford, and for Justin Prince, it has been a pleasure covering the PRL NASCAR Cup Series this season. We hope you'll join us next time, and until next time, so long.